My name is Alita Williams, and I am president of the Rotary Club of Chicago, and I would like to welcome you to our 5,672nd meeting of our club. And at this time, Andrew O'Connor is going to come up and do the thought of the day.
Promise to keep this brief, to keep more time for birthdays. The thought of the day that I have today comes from our former mayor, Rahm Emanuel, which is a phrase that he's often quoted as saying, which is, every crisis is an opportunity. And that phrase has always stuck with me for a number of reasons, but given that it's going to be, I think, 115 tomorrow, it seems appropriate in terms of talking about crisis and that kind of stuff going on now. I do love that phrase, though, because if you look at it in a non-cynical way, and as Rotarians, we always approach things in a non-cynical way, that really thinks about when there's problems, how do we work together to solve that? So what my thought of the day for everyone here is, big or small, when you come across crises, what can you do today to make an impact and make some difference on trying to make those crises an opportunity for change, for better stuff, and less crises in the future? That's all the day. So.
Thank you, Andrew. So up next, we have a wonderful speaker. So we will do our best to get to all the Zoom questions. We want to honor our speakers and everyone else's time to keep your questions succinct and one question per person. If you are on the Zoom and have a question, please post it into the chat, and we will make sure to get to those. And at this time, I would like to invite Sarah Buck up to introduce our speaker.
Thank you. Today is Alita's birthday. Does everyone know that? I just wanted to be clear about that. She wasn't going to say it. Okay, so I am here to introduce our speaker for today. Most of you know that I am faculty at Chicago State University, but you may not know that I am a professor of health and physical education. The Illinois Association of Health, Physical Education, and Dance, IAHPERD, is the state organization for my professional field, and my 15-year involvement with IAHPERD is how I met Judy Tiggelaar. Judy is a retired elementary school physical education teacher. She taught in Hinsdale, where she earned several teaching awards. And she has university teaching experience as well that includes supervising student teachers. She holds a master's in education leadership from Benedictine University and a bachelor's in education from Illinois State. Judy's service within her school and district was extensive, and she has served in a laundry list of executive positions within IAHPERD, including president and director of advocacy. She has earned many awards from IAHPERD, including our highest honor, the Pop Horton Award. Despite being one of the most important classes in a school where students learn how to be healthy and move their bodies, PE classes tend to get the short end of the stick. We get bumped from our classrooms for school-wide activities like Picture Day. Students get pulled out of PE for interventions. Schools petition to have PE waived, and it is not uncommon for PE teachers to have 50 to 90 kids in the gym at once, nor is it uncommon for districts to ignore state mandates requiring the number of days or minutes for PE. The PE of today is not the, quote, gym class that you remember. And in our current culture of childhood obesity and excessive screen time, Judy is the go-to person to fight for PE in Illinois. Not only was she stellar in her classroom, she has experience fighting on behalf of her students in front of legislators. She looks quiet and unassuming, but when there's a threat to the health of school-aged children in the schools, watch out. She'll come at you with an unexpected ferociousness and a depth of knowledge that makes you take notice, all while wearing a comfortable LL Bean sweatshirt, which is a love that she and I share. So with that, I turn it over to Judy, our speaker for today.
Thank you, Sarah, for that wonderful introduction. I should have worn my LL Bean top, but in the photo of me, there it is an LL Bean sweater, which we do have an extensive collection, and it's kind of fun to show up at a meeting and to see if we're in matching colors. It's always fun. So physical education. Let's talk about physical education as we should see it in the schools today. It definitely should look different than what you experienced as a student. If you think back to your elementary or high school experience, you might think back to, there were lines, you were in relay formation lines, and there was one ball per line, and you had to dribble the ball down and dribble the ball back, and you maybe had 5 minutes of movement during an entire physical education class. That's not the way PE should look today. I'm going to talk about the way the program should be run. First of all, we're looking at maximum participation at whatever level of participation your students or your children might be in, whether it's pre-K all the way up through the university level. So just like in a math or a reading class, every child has a book, a desk, utensils to write with. In a PE class, every child should have a piece of equipment to practice the skill that is being taught. And the key is their skills being taught. It may look like it's a whole lot of fun and games out there in the PE class, and it should be, but we're using the equipment and we're teaching the learning activities in a fun movement way. In that, the lessons that are being taught are engaging for the student, and they're based on research, learning standards, and a curriculum that is written specifically for each school district. So there are overarching national learning standards, and the state of Illinois has learning standards in the areas of physical development and health. So as the physical education teachers and health teachers in the schools throughout the state of Illinois, they should be designing lessons that are based on standards. There's some sort of content behind it. It's well thought out, well progressed series of lessons to engage those students. And from each level, when skills are taught, they build upon the next grade level. Everything should be in a sequence of learning. We wouldn't expect children to go from first grade to high school and all of a sudden, jump into all of a sudden to Shakespeare without a whole lot of learning going on in between, with skills to analyze and the comprehension ability of students to master certain skills before jumping ahead to something. So for example, if we're teaching a basketball activity, the kids will be practicing dribbling and passing skills, moving on a court or in a gym space, but they may not actually, as fourth or fifth graders, they may not be playing a game of regular basketball. It could be a shooting type of an activity that uses those skills that will lead to, at the junior high and high school level, where they can play a more organized form of the game. We're teaching skills that those children can use later on in life, that they can apply to lifelong learning and lifelong active learners. So all those folks that are heading out to the pickleball courts these days, they may have had a badminton class, a tennis class, a ping pong class. At some point in time, they've played the skill and they developed a liking for something related to a racket sport, they may even had pickleball in their high school experience, because pickleball, as a physical education teacher, has been around since the 80s. They've been selling the pickleball equipment at all of our conventions since the early 1980s, and all of a sudden, a group of older folks down in the villages in Florida got a hold of it, and they're calling it their own, when all of us PE teachers are walking around going, well, wait a minute here. We've been doing this for a long time. So you have kids you have your students in your classes as PE teachers, and you're like, all right, so how can we embed a love of activity so that when our students move from the pre-K through college experience and they graduate and then they're out, in the workforce, how are they going to remain active? How can they make good choices? So we have this foundation of knowledge, because there's actual cognitive skills connected with physical education. So they've got this cognitive background, and they can analyze the different activities that are available to them as an adult. Think about, I'm going to stick with the basketball example. How many adults, after they've graduated from college, they're no longer part of an intramural sport activity, and they want to play a little pickup game? Well, it's pretty hard to find 10 people that are enjoying the same thing. You might find a half a dozen, and you could play some 3-on-3 basketball or some modified version. In the PE classes, we provide opportunities for students to take the official game and then modify the rules for their specific circumstances, so that they can take that knowledge and then apply it later on as adults to play that pickup game of basketball or a pickup game of soccer or whatever activity that they're interested in. We were talking about golf at the table. Now the golf, and I heard some folks talking about golf as we were all gathering about scores and that. And some of us who have been very competitive, who were intercollegiate athletes, have now moved on to golf, where it's a great day to be outside playing a game, and the key word is playing, not necessarily being competitive. We may not even be keeping score, but we enjoy that ability to hit the ball. Hopefully it's straight. Sometimes it fades to the right or fades to the left. And then if you're in the not keeping score league like I am, it magically pops back onto the fairway. And then you just hope for that 2-putt on the green, and you call it a really good day, and you come back and you play again. So that we want to instill that in our students, so that you don't always have to play that game by the very specific rules of the sport. And if kids want to play that as adults, they can join a league. They can be competitive with that group of friends that they have, which leads me into the third area of physical education, all of education is the affective domain. That's the area of that social emotional learning, where you learn to cooperate with your peers and the other folks that you might be working with. And so if we go out to the golf course and I'm with a few friends, we decide from the get-go, how are we going to play today? Maybe we'll count our putts. That will be a score. Or we're not going to play keep score at all, or we'll play best ball, where whoever drives the furthest will drop the ball from there to keep the game going. We agree upon that. We reach a compromise, and that's a skill that's taught in physical education, because let's face it, in your work lives, if you're making a business deal of some type, there's some kind of compromise that will take place. And we begin teaching that at the elementary level through the university level. And we work on problem solving, given specific tasks at hand. How can you as a group solve a problem, which then translates into their adult life? Hopefully it translates into their adult life and into the workplace as well. So they take all of those skills together. So that's essentially what physical education should be. It should be teaching about learning sports skills that they can apply to games and activities, a cognitive approach of what's going on in the class, and how to work together, the whole social emotional component of learning, because they all need to get together and work together as a team to accomplish a specific goal. So we know that at the university level, where Sarah is a teacher and I have taught at Illinois State, we try to convey that to our students, so that they then bring that knowledge to their students as they become professional educators. Well, in every profession, you need ongoing professional development, and that's where IAHPERD comes into play. IAHPERD provides a tremendous amount, they're the go-to place, a tremendous amount of professional development, continuing education for our physical education and health teachers across the state of Illinois. IAHPERD is known as the premier convention across the country. While we have roughly 8,000 members in our organization, pre-COVID, we were pulling in over 3,000 participants at our state convention. Since we've come back from the COVID lockdown and having to teach, to provide professional development online, we're now approaching, we were in the 1,700 range, and we're expecting that to grow this year at our December convention, where there will be more in-person participants. We also recognize that technology is such that we can provide learning via Zoom meetings. We provide a university level of, we're calling it IAHPERD U, where PE teachers and health teachers can sign up for continuing education hours. And there are a variety of other smaller, more localized professional development opportunities for our PE teachers and health teachers, which are very well attended by our members, because they need to grow and continue to expand their content base, their knowledge base of what can be applied and what's most current in a physical education setting. We also provide some small grant opportunities for our physical education teachers as a non-for-profit organization. Raising funds for that type of thing is challenging. It's challenging for any organization, and it's particularly challenging for an organization that is education-based. And then we do advocacy. And Sarah mentioned, in her intro that, I come across as super friendly and, easygoing, except when we have either school administrators or a school board or somebody down in Springfield decides that they're going to do something to either the learning standards, the mandates, the teacher evaluation. That's where I get super excited and sometimes underestimated as this nice person. So in terms of advocacy, there is a pamphlet, the booklet, that's out there where the name tags are, and it's titled "We Are IAHPERD." Well, you know what? We weren't able to go down to Springfield to do advocacy in person because things were shut down. So when we went back this past March, put together this really cool brochure that outlines everything that we have done over the last 10 years or so within IAHPERD regarding legislation, regarding what a physical education class should look like, what a health education class should look like, what the legislators should expect, because there's been a huge turnover in Springfield of legislators, and we had to get them up to speed. So we use this document to do that. And it's a useful tool for all of you as you go back with your own kids or grandkids, or if you're involved at your local school level, it gives you an example of what is expected. One thing that can be very confusing for a lot of folks, including our professionals, is the difference between physical activity and physical education. Because physical education, as I described a few minutes ago, it's based on standards, and there's a curriculum, and teachers write a lesson plan, and the kids come in and perform during that lesson. And that's the essence of physical education. And then there's physical activity, which I also talked about, where you choose what you're going to do. There are loads of options, and that's where recess comes into play. So recess and physical education are not one and the same. You're getting movement during both, but they're not the same. Physical activity is also the vehicle that physical education teachers use to teach. So there's a game of some type, or there's movement of some type that's physical activity, but it's in a very controlled, defined planned sequence of learning. The best analogy that I can give you is that just in that you use a book to teach reading, you use a book to teach reading, or some type of form of literature to teach reading. We use the activity to teach the physical education skills. So there's a little difference in that. I think I am close to my time, thereabouts. If there are questions about my content area, the presentation, I'm open to any questions that you may have.
I know this is super specific, but if you could, for us, paint the perfect PE class, what would it be, and what activities would there be? Anything in that nature would be awesome to hear.
Okay, I've got a question for you. Are you talking about the elementary, middle, or high school level?
Can we do elementary and then high school?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to go high school first, and then I'll go to my passion, an elementary class. So at the high school level, ideally, the students will enter the gymnasium. Because they have to do it, there's some sort of attendance that takes place. And I know in a number of high schools, the kids start off and they may be walking laps around the gym. As a supervisor of student teachers, that is a nice way to get the kids started, and it allows some movement and time to chit chat with your friends as we've got those stragglers coming in out of the locker room. As those students are coming into the gym, the physical education teacher is quickly taking the attendance. So the need to line up in those squad lines may not be present, because you can take that attendance as the kids are moving. From there, the skill of the day is introduced, and that skill needs to be at a level that has been based off of previous learning at the elementary and middle school level. So let's say that our kids are playing soccer. So the focus is going to be on possibly dribbling and passing skills during a small-sided game. Not 11 on 11, because if we have 11 on 11 soccer, and with only one soccer ball, and we all know high school kids, They are going to find those kids that really want to play will be dribbling the ball and passing to their friends and the other active kids in the class. While those kids that just they don't want to break a sweat because, they had their hair done and they want to make sure that that hair is staying really nice when they go on to their algebra class. So as a PE teacher, we're adjusting that so it's a small-sided game. So you might be looking at 4 or 5 kids playing against one another, and the goals are set up, the field is spread out all over the place, and the PE teacher is on the move. That PE teacher should be gaining steps like crazy during that class. So it's direct application of a skill that was previously taught, but the application is in a game situation. So it's more real life to what those kids are going to do. And small-sided is the way to go. So now we'll switch over to the elementary level, which, my passion. Every student in the gymnasium, and we can stick with soccer. Well, they come in, and when they come in, they are moving in space. It could be that galloping, they're doing some type of locomotor skill, galloping, skipping, jumping, hopping, whatever you as a teacher might define, but they're moving when they come in. At the elementary level, we don't take attendance because that classroom teacher took attendance earlier in the day, and they're walking those kids down. And if they're losing kids, we got a problem with the classroom teacher. So they arrive, and we're right into that movement because we see them for such a short period of time, maybe 30 minutes if we're lucky. And the way the school code reads is that we only might see them 3 days a week. So we're going to get involved in movement right away. Then we distribute equipment. So they're going to have those soccer balls, and whether we're inside or outside, they're going to be moving in space in that room, in that whatever the space is. They're working on dribbling. All right, they're keeping that ball close to their body. Then we'll switch it out to buddy up find somebody you can work with for a short period of time. So you find out they all find a partner, and they're going to be passing back and forth. We change those partners quickly. So they're not with the same person for the entire classroom, because while Sarah and I would like to be partners for the entire class because we're buddies, but we need to learn to work with everybody else in the class. As soon as that part of skill practice is done, we get into small-sided games. So where there's some sort of immediate application to what we just practiced. And those small-sided games are probably 3-on-3 of some type, really small-sided games. The other thing that happens in an elementary school is the choice of equipment will vary. So we'll have size 3 soccer balls up to the size 5, and we'll have foam or Nerf type equipment so the kids can choose what will work best for them. So they don't have to use the same, that regulation soccer ball, because it's not a one size fits all at the elementary level. You're welcome. I saw a hand go up.
Hello, I'm Kia Robottom. So you mentioned the students who are not willing, excuse me, to be very active. So what consideration, if any, has been given to things like your PE class is in the middle of the day and you want to take a shower before you go to your next class? So just kind of expound on that if you would, because that would be problematic for me.
Oh, I totally get that. And that is the challenge for physical education teachers in allowing that time for those students who do want to take a shower, because not all kids do. Some kids just want to go from one class to another. And the PE teachers need to be cognizant of blocking in that, because I got to tell you, I have been to some schools and it's shocking. They're storing equipment where the showers are supposed to be for the students, which is totally not cool in my book. And going in as a supervisor, that would be hard. So from that perspective of you wanting to be cool, if if I was still teaching today and at the high school level, and it's going to be 95 outside, I wouldn't be bringing my class outside. I would make that accommodation so that those students could be inside and be active and not at that level of they're going to be just one big sweaty mess for the rest of the day. I mean, that's just uncomfortable. So as a professional educator, you need to be able to make those adjustments and be cognizant of your student needs. Did I answer the question? I did. Are there?
A brief two-part question. Is square dancing still part of the curriculum? And second part, if so, why?
Okay, all righty. So rhythms and dance are still part of the curriculum. It's a professional choice as to whether or not a teacher is going to teach square dance. But I want you to think about, just forget about the whole concept of square dance and, the ladies are wearing some fluffy skirt, and they're at that whatever, okay. But think of it from a life skill perspective. There's a tremendous amount of listening and following direction in a square dance lesson. And it's also moving in a sequence and working cooperatively with a group. So from that perspective of teaching listening skills in a group setting, that's where square dance can be taught. It also can be taught, those similar concepts can be taught through other dances, but it's totally teacher choice at that.
I'm going to turn things around. I'm thinking about the college level now. What kind of screening would you like in students involved in violent sport activities?
I didn't catch the tail end of the question.
What kind of screening would you expect college students to have before they engage in a probably rather vigorous kind of exercise, whatever it is?
Oh, from a health perspective.
From a health perspective.
Well, and I'm not sure at the university level if there is any kind of physical fitness test that's provide a doctor's fit just for athletes at this point in time. So from that perspective, it's student choice in terms of if they're going to sign up for a specific very vigorous physical education class or an intramural class, and whether or not there's a required assessment at the university that would need to be on an as-need basis. There is validity, I believe, in having that kind of an assessment from a cardiovascular perspective for students that are engaging in a high level of aerobic activity at the university, possibly intramural level, but for the average physical education class at the university level, I'm not sure that they ever get to that stressor level that would put them in any kind of health risk. I just haven't seen that kind of class offered. At the intramural level, it is possible that there could be an underlying health issue that has gone undetected.
Andrew, I teach square dance and folk dance in my curriculum. You're welcome to come join us. Yes. Can you please quickly explain why dodgeball is in the PE Hall of Shame?
Okay. All right. Thank you, Sarah, for that question. All right. So, and I think all of us in this room experienced dodgeball at one time or another. Some of us would be hiding in the back corner, praying that it would end as quickly as it got started. Others are ready to go charging to the line with that big red rubber kickball ready to unload. Well, here's the thing. First of all, you're tossing an object in a very, well, you talk about vigorous and violent way at another human being. And for that person, it's an aggressive movement. And the students in that PE class don't have a choice. They are trapped in that room with playing that game. Now, we've got PE teachers that are out there today saying, well, you know what? I give my students the choice. They could sit out or they could do something different than playing dodgeball. Well, remember I talked about social emotional learning? Well, you're going to have a whole bunch of kids that will be playing the game that will then be harassing the kids that choose not to. So you know what? We're just not going to play a game that the underlying message is violence towards another person, throwing that ball at another person. Now, there are a whole bunch of games that can simulate that without being dodgeball. And one, now you got me going, Sarah. It's called, okay, it's called Hula Huts. And Hula Huts is a game where the kids, the two teams, they got to throw a whole bunch of Nerf balls. They got to throw the ball and get it either hit the backboard at the opposite end of the gym or make a basket. If you hit the backboard, your team gets to pick up one hula hoop, and if it goes in the basket, you get to pick up two. The object being is to build these little huts out of hula hoops. Well, once the hula hut is built, you can have one student choose to be the blocker because the opposing team is going to try to knock that hula hut down, and if it gets knocked down, all the hula hoops go back to wherever the storage area is. The key then is that it's choice for the kid to be the blocker, to have the ball thrown at him. And those kids that really want to throw that ball hard at something have the choice of either throwing it at the backboard or throwing it at the hut. So there are ways to play a similar type of game without aiming at a human target. Okay, sure.
Were there any questions in the chat? No questions in the chat. Thank you, Tricia. Nope. Hold on. Thank you so much for your time. And also everyone doesn't know is my actual college degree is in recreation management with a concentration in special event management. So I did a lot of stuff with that. But we would also like to thank you for being here today. And what we do is we give you a wonderful cup to have your coffee and some wonderful cookies that are made by a friend of mine, Alvin Green. He has started a cookie company to assist his autistic son and their friends to have jobs once they age out of the system, of the Chicago system, which is about 19 years old. They age out of CPS and then they just leave them and say, you're gone. So he started a cookie company to do that. So enjoy your cookies. All right. Well, since we've put it out there, what we don't know is moving forward, every third Tuesday is going to be the birthday table and the birthday recognition, because let's have fun and bring that back and enjoying celebrating everyone. And as Sarah said, today is my birthday, but we are also celebrating Rob and Walt Sawicki and Chuck, whose birthdays are either in July or August, because I missed July. Sorry, had a lot going on in July. You know, that president's training doesn't teach you everything really quickly. So with that, if everyone would like to sing happy birthday to all of our birthday people today, I am not going to sing because none of you all want that to happen. But we can say, we'll just do it together. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday to you. Yeah. Great. Great. So other wonderful announcements we have Peace Day on September 18th, which is going to be in Daly Plaza from 11:45 to 1 o'clock. There are wonderful volunteer opportunities from carrying in a flag, being at the Rotary 1 DEI table or the Rotary District 6450 table. So please join that if you have the time. We have our Illuminati's fundraiser on October 3rd, so please register online for one of 3 locations, mine, that you would like to be at, or Sarah's, or Laura's, whichever is most convenient to where you live to be at. But all of it is in support of the Rotary One Foundation. So we get a certain, Illuminati's is going to make a donation based on the amount of pizzas that we bought. So everybody go buy pizza and bring it home, freeze it, ship it to somebody, anything. We do have our wonderful committee meetings, the DEI committee, which is this evening. Community service is September 7th, always the first Thursday of the month. Membership September 12th, International Service Committee September 13th, and PR and Marketing September 21st. And we are definitely looking for more people to join those committees so that we can have more great ideas that are coming up. And since it's my birthday, the wonderful piggy banks on the tables. If you can, make a donation to that, and we will put that donation to the Job One program to sustain our wonderful scholarships and the Carl Zimmerman Scholarship that we have. And with that, if we could all stand to do the 4-way test. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. Thank you. I skipped over that. Do we have any? We don't have any visiting international guests, but we do have visiting guests of Rotary, right?
Hello, everyone. My name is Shanice Teemer, and I am Interim Associate Director of Annual Giving for Northeastern Illinois University. I did have the opportunity to attend the swearing in, and this is my first meeting as a guest. I was able to attend when Alita was sworn in, so it was wonderful to be able to be here today, and I look forward to meeting a few more of you this afternoon. But thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Nicole. I'm from Brazil, and I just graduated from UCLA. I recently came to Chicago, and at UCLA, I was part of Rotary Club, and my family, they're also members of Rotary in Brazil. So I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jalen Leon. I am a strategy and operations, I work in strategy and operations management at McMaster-Carr, previously in project management. I've been in Chicago for about 2 years now, and I am a guest and prospective member, and it's always a pleasure to be here with you all. So thank you.
Sorry about that. Thank you for all our guests that are here today. And if Walt could come up and lead us in the 4-way test. If we could all stand.
Okay, the 4-way test of things we think, say, and do. Number 1.
Is it the truth?
Number 2.
Is it fair to all concerned?
Number 3.
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
Number 4.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
And number 5.
Will it be fun? All right. And with that, we're adjourned.